nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. It's just a table for two tonight with Rafa. Royce, unfortunately, is not able to attend due to some air conditioning issues at the house. And as we know in San Antonio, that's not good. Rafa, how are you?
I'm feeling good. Big win for. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
Hear me? Oh, let me try something.
No. All right, so it looks like we lost Rafa here for that here, but just to kind of give a heads up here, like I say here, Chris Cox thinks great game, gentlemen. I thought it was a well-played game at this point here. You back, Rafa?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So how are you once again? Sorry for the hiccup here.
Good. Enjoyed two big wins. One from our local team and one from Club America. They got the Clasico, the Mexico City Clasico win. So
there's two things I'm going to start out with before we hit before we hit the San Antonio stuff here. One, do we want to start with the worst news ever, or just the bad news if you're not a fan of MLS or Liga MX? Which one do you want to do first?
The worst news. Let's just start
let's just start with this. And like I said here, I'm going to keep my comments kind of brief, just because I'm not a woman and I've never been in this position on either side, either one with power or the here. Unfortunately, NWSL, on a great report by Meg Linehan on The Athletic, came out with, unfortunately, a really horrible story, with the North Carolina, at the time, North Carolina Courage coach had a pattern of, unfortunately, sexual abuse and other things here, and so far it's been traced all the way back to 2014, when that said coach Paul Riley allegedly committed these things, and I know he came out and said he did, that he didn't, but the Portland Thorns have came out and said that was part of the reason why he was not renewed. They said that they've forwarded the information to, NWSL front office, which at the time would have also been part of U.S. Soccer. Unfortunately, that coach was able to still get positions after that, which is what the issue is. And that's on top what OL Rain had, fired a coach earlier this week, or not this week, this year. I think one in the Racing Louisville also had a coach along those similar situations. So I'm not going to talk into the specifics on it, but unfortunately, we can't start the show, in my opinion, without at least addressing it. Rafa, you've been a coach. I don't know if you've ever coached women, but being a coach, kind of your thoughts, on this ugly situation. There's I'm proud of the players to stepping up and making a stand for it here to hopefully force NWSL to make changes, and they did come out with initiative this afternoon saying that, the new initiatives are going to be an independent review of practices and policies at the league and club level, comprehensive policies and procedures created for the league and all club members to make sure that there's transparent and effective execution of any harassment or workplace conduct issues. They're going to reopen the 2015 investigation of NWSL former NWSL coach Paul Riley, his circumstances leaving Portland Thorns, which then hired by the Western New York Flash before they relocated down to North Carolina Courage. They'll review all investigative reports of historical complaints of discrimination, harassments, and abuse, physical, emotional, or sexual in NWSL, and the continuation of ongoing initiated under the current anti-harassment policy and recommendations of sanctions where appropriate. So a lot to get into. Like I said, this is way outside of my depth, and like I said here, I know I tweeted that I'd love for Danielle to hop on a podcast at some point, whether it's with us or somebody else, to give her kind of views on it, because I know, with her being in the game, she obviously would have better views than I do, unfortunately, on it. But your views as a coach, Rafa, what's kind of your thoughts on this mess?
I'm surprised as this was allowed to occur and then put under the rug for such a long period of time. And like I said, I'm not not blaming the players and all that. We don't know what the situation as far as if it was brought up right away, but I think the whoever's like the GMs, the VPs, the player operations, and the owners, if they're aware, like I said, with the case with Portland, if they're aware of why he wasn't re-signed, why wasn't that sent to the league as soon as possible before you got onto another team, and then they could have investigated this a lot sooner. So there's going to be a lot of finger pointing on why this was allowed, and on the coaching side, I've had coached girls. I used to coach U11 girls with Texans, and it is different from coaching boys, and you do have to kind of watch what you say and stuff, and but you treat everybody the same, and you gotta have respect for your players, no matter boys or girls, and something like this, occurring, shouldn't be happening. And actually, there's something occurred. I think something locally also occurred too, with another thing. I don't know if you saw this in the news. Something happened. It's kind of similar to that's being investigated. But for the professional level here, why are the owners and the GMs not take any complaint or anything like that? Why aren't they going ahead and investigating it right away? Say, hey, you know what? Let's just pull our coach to the side. Let's look into this first. Mm-hmm. We got to look for the well-being of our players first. Let's investigate it. If everything runs clear, then we'll let them back in. If it's not, if there is some type of violation, okay, we're already jumping on it, and we're going to take care of it. We're not going to allow this person to go to another team and possibly, most of those times they're repeat offenders. So if they did it once, they're going to do it again. And you can see kind of a pattern here. But like I said, the coach under investigation, like I said, he's innocent until proven guilty, because that's how we are as far as, in nation, until everything's cleared up, we'll find, until the truth comes out, we have to make our opinions on the matter.
Yeah, to me, the other thing that sticks out to me is the commissioner of the NWSL, Lisa's been, I think it's Lisa Baird, I believe is what her name was, has already been let go, and I think one of the lead attorneys for NWSL, a female, has also been let go. But to me, like I said, you've got to go further. You know, I know the owner of, Portland, the Thorn and the Timbers. I'm not saying he's got to go, but there's got to be an executive on, that's got to fall. There's got to be somebody at U.S. Soccer, in my opinion, that's got to take the fall, because they were a part in, they may be kind of trying to take a step back, saying, "Hey, we just gave compensation and helped, sustain the league," but they had a role of managing, the league at, during those times. I think that just stopped, this year, where they kind of took a step back. So to me, I fear that this is just the tip of the iceberg, because we saw that with the gymnastics. We've seen that, excuse me, we've seen that within figure skating, where top coaches, elite coaches, unfortunately have took advantages of the young females. And I hate to say this isn't something that's tied specifically to soccer, NWSL. This unfortunately is an ugly chapter in U.S. sports, and it goes across swimming, gymnastics, through there here. So, but hopefully, like I said here, we can get some great female voices like Danielle and Liz. They do a podcast every once in a while on Protagonist Pods. They can kind of put together their 2 cents into, because it's hard for me to bring it up because I'm a guy. Like I said here, I've never coached a female, don't have plans to coach a female. For that here. So, but all I know is if Anna was involved in a situation like that, I would not be happy. I'll just leave it at that.
What's kind of, like I said, what's surprising is that, this, why wasn't this, if the ownerships and, knew about this, and the commissioner knew about this, and whoever was, like I said, executives from the league, if this was known for quite some time, why was this person allowed to, who's to say this person isn't involved with the U.S. women's national team, and could have been another scandal there, like the same thing with the gymnastics. So there's, like I said, there's some accountability that needs to be taken care of. Like I said, I don't think you can. I don't know how would you punish an owner. Like, I don't think you can take away a team, but
I think you can. They did it in Salt Lake.
I mean,
if with the Clippers for far worse, for far less.
I mean, if that's what's gonna take, then do it. Same thing. I mean, it's good that they took away the commissioner, but that, like I said, that's a little too late already. If she knew about this, that's what I want to know. How long has she known about this? And for her not to do a single thing about it, that's just a lack of respect to the players there, and also to the sport. For the safety, for the safety of it. And there's like I said, heads are gonna have to roll. U.S. Soccer needs to do something about this to prevent this, and maybe have some type of people that are, whether it's the pros, the lower leagues, college, and even into the club. There's got to be some type of accountability, but also people making sure, monitoring none of this is happening, just for the safety of the players.
Yeah. So the other subject that came out, the Leagues Cup, with it being expanded. 1 second here. I'm trying to see. I should have had this pulled up here. To League Cup expansion. Basically, it's going to cover 40 right now, 47 teams. I think you can kind of see that. In 2023, in 2023, The Leagues Cup's is a historic tournament between MLS and Liga MX. Both teams are going to pause their regular seasons. All clubs are to participate. It is sanctioned by CONCACAF. The winner earns a spot directly to the CCL round of 16. Second and third place earns CCL qualifications for that here. So there's some weight behind this. It's supposed to be set up kind of like in a World Cup type setting. From my understanding, on the reports here, is that it's going to be mainly in the United States and Canada. I'm kind of interested why it's not in Mexico as well, at least a group or two for that here, because I think, having teams travel down to Mexico, I think would be very interesting to be able to see how that process goes for that here. So your thoughts on the Leagues Cup, the expansion of it?
It's just a money grab. That's how I just see it. I mean, if you're going to play all the games in the U.S. or Canada, and we're not going to play any games, I mean, Mexico's got some good quality. I mean, you got Guadalajara, you got the two stadiums of Monterrey, and you got the Azteca, which has been, if you have looked at it, it's been remodeled too as well. It just doesn't make any sense, and I think, but for the Liga MX teams, I guess for the owners, marketing wise, I mean, you do have a lot of Liga MX fans in the United States, and maybe out of this, you go into parts, you can showcase your teams that you normally don't get to. So I can see the part where from the Liga MX, I was like, hey, well, we're gonna get exposure at places that maybe don't know about us or don't really know about our teams. But like I said, we have a lot of teams know who Club America is, Chivas, Tigres, Monterrey. But I can see some like a team like Toluca or Tijuana and all that, expanding out and hopefully maybe getting some fans out, some exposure, some fans, more fans in the U.S. So it should be an interesting tournament. It'll be fun, but what does that leave out of the USL? so kind of, I think maybe USL should maybe create something similar to that, and do it with the second division teams for Mexico. That'd be an interesting tournament to have.
But what are the quality of the second teams in Mexico? Because with them stopping the pro rel, isn't it more MLS 2-ish teams? Where it's more about the youth and along those lines.
But they're actually going to be changing that because
they are.
Yeah, they're actually going to go back to the regulation and promotion pretty soon. I think for now this time they wanted to concentrate on developing players, but now I think the owners are starting to see that a lot of the players from the first division are really moving up to going to Europe. I think there's a couple of them that just got recently signed. They're over there, and so we're kind of rethinking things ahead. Well, let's just have a promotion this up, and because there's a couple teams that maybe do need to go down, like Juarez and maybe Mazatlan, but as far as, like I said, Liga MX, this is a benefit for them. It's just going to be more money. Maybe I think also probably the TV rights probably also played into a role as far as who's involved with this, and probably is going to get them more money to sign more high profile pros. That's the thing is with Liga MX, they don't have a salary cut compared to what MLS is. So they can go after some of these kind of the bigger star names players from South America to come over here, or some European players. So.
Yeah, I think for me, like I said, so there's two issues from it. Number, and I'll start from the MLS aspect of it. Mm-hmm. One, if you're gonna stop your season for a month, and from my understanding, they're gonna be doing this late summer, so July. July, August, somewhere around there. So right before the playoff season starts. I think that kind of affects to me that affects the season a little bit. But number two, more important, Champions League shows that Mexican, the Liga MX teams are just better. There's no way around it. You may get a MLS team that makes a run, and part of that's just because of how MLS is ran, where there's the talent that you can bring into Liga MX, the price tag that you can bring in dwarfs what MLS does. So I think if MLS is really going to take this serious, they've got to open up the pocketbook a little bit more, to where, to me, I would love it if they would just take away all the funny math that comes with Garber bucks and DP, young DP, homegrown, all these silly rules that they have. I understand why they don't, but on the flip side for MLS, if you're saying your club's worth $600 million, why do you need the training wheels? That's the issue. You can't have it both ways. The other, and we've already seen this impact Mexico, from my understanding, the Copa MX is going to be canceled. MLS, Garber's already said, hey, we're going to have to review or see about making changes to the Open Cup, which for USL teams, NISA, lower division, that's their only chance to be able to go to CONCACAF's Champions League or Leagues Nations Cup or anything like that. And to me, my fear is what happens if MLS says, hey, we're not going to take part of it, or hey, we're only going to take part of it, but we're going to be in it when it's so watered down that there may be 10 teams, let's say 10 teams, and then the MLS teams are going to come in at that point, where the lower leagues have kind of beat themselves up. But to me, I don't like that Liga MX has already said, hey, Copa MX is out. And to be honest with you, we've had 2 years without the Open Cup. I know there's qualifying going on right now, which unfortunately the runners lost. So they were the local San Antonio team, but they lost to Southwest team out of El Paso a couple of weeks ago for that here. So that's my concern. What about kind of the Open Cup / Copa Mix? I'm not sure how big of a named tournament that was, compared to the Open Cup here stateside.
I think the only thing with the Copa MX is you had to play it during the week, so you had to push some of your games, and then you had to be really creative, especially with the players. And most of the times when they do play a lot of those, they were playing a lot of their bench players or their lower or their academy, their like their U21s or U23s. They're kind of like the cusp of making the first team. You would probably bring those players up to play those games. Kind of like when you see when the European teams play their domestic cups, like the Coppa Italia, the Coppa Rey. Usually play the younger bunch players, just to give them some experience, and that's what Copa MX was giving them experience. But when they got too close to like the quarterfinals and the semifinals, that's when you saw some of your top players, because they do want to win it, and because they did have the teams that won the Copa MX play against each other in the summertime, like a champion versus champion. Same thing with the domestic league cup. They had a champion versus champion. So, and I think that helped them qualify. I think for the Champions League. So that's Liga MX. I'm sure they're going to be like, they can care less about that, because, like I said, they had barely brought back the Copa MX. Like I said, it's this. They probably feel, well, this is going to make us more money. Plus, if it's going to be a month-long tournament, now they don't have to really play too many games during the week. You'll have some you have to make up whatever you missed for that month, but it's not going to be as abundant as having those Copa MX games. And then not, like I said, not all the teams participate in the Copa MX, like what they did kind of with the USL, kind of watered down.
Right.
So they kind of just see this more as okay. Well, this will be a better for us. But now as for the lower teams like for USL, NISA, and all them, what do you do? I think USL needs to. I mean, are we going to see the U.S. Open Cup disappear? That's a possibility.
I think that is a possibility. And we have to see. And from an MLS aspect, and it sounds like this was the same thing, for Liga MX. The Open Cup really isn't a cash driver. It's not. It's as a fan of a lower league team, you love it, because you get a chance to go against the MLS team and a chance to chase chase that spot.
No.
The other aspect that I find on this here is this is going to kick off in 2023. And this will be my final subject on this. So that tells me right now they have 47 teams, the full teams in Liga MX. And with the expansion right now, it brings it to 47. That 48th team, it would not shock me that MLS brings in Las Vegas within, I wouldn't shock me if they're announced by the end of the year personally. So that way they can bring them on. It's going to be kind of like a Charlotte MLS system where they were announced and they're in the league in almost 2 years. So that'll be the interesting aspect, because if you do 48 teams, 3 teams in each group, so you're able, you guarantee a minimum 2 games. That gives you 16 groups. And like I said here, then you get, first or second, or however you want to do it, the winners of the group.
4 teams and 12 groups.
4 teams and 12, yeah.
I think they want to get the 3 games in.
3 games, so 4 and 12.
Yeah, because out of that, let's say we get the winner of each one, so you have 12 teams, and then you'll probably have 4 wild card teams to make a final 16. So like the top second place teams will, the four top 6 second place teams with the points will probably get part of that knockout stage, because I think that will make sense for them.
Because let's not forget, this was Sacramento's slot. So, and Sacramento didn't send in the check or didn't sign the papers, whatever, so they're out of it. And, to me at this point, it's Vegas's to lose at this time. But moving on to some even better news. This week's match. San Antonio traveled up to the Greens and OKC Energy, who had a 9-game unbeaten streak at historic Taft Stadium, and that's a beautiful stadium if you get an opportunity to go. But I cannot wait for Oklahoma City, hopefully within the next few years, to get their downtown stadium. It's been passed. They got to figure out a location and deal with all that paperwork. But initial thoughts on San Antonio going up to Oklahoma City, getting a goal from Epps in the 66th minute to walk away with a 1-0 win.
Well, it was like an old rivalry game, like a hit. Hello, stranger, my old friend. So, some of the battles we've had with OKC out throughout the years, and so it was good to finally play them, and I'm sure they're happy to see us. And
not now.
No, not tonight. So, but it's always an adventure when we play them, whether it's here or over there. But going into this game, it was important, especially from that loss that we had against New Mexico. We needed to kind of bounce back and get some, hopefully at least a point, but if we can get the 3 points, it'd be better, especially now with some of the teams kind of going down, with Colorado tying with El Paso and New Mexico losing to Louisville. So for them to get the win today was great. Great shot by Epps. He missed a couple of them in that first half. He had some open netters that he should have had a hat trick. Honestly, he probably would have been the USL Player of the Week if he nails in those two in the first half. But he pulled through in that one little rocket shot from where you got to escape from that defense, and and that's all it took. Usually a 1-0 game would win a game between us. We've seen plenty of that over the years. So I'm glad he got the goal, and our defense held up. We didn't give up a cheap one, and there were some close calls, but we were able to pull through, and we got the 3 points going on to Wednesday against New Mexico.
So yeah, when it comes to the energy, it's kind of an odd series because if you looked at the head-to-head, it used to be real close. So San Antonio has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, but it was 2 wins, 7 draws, and 2 wins. 2 wins, 7 draws. For that here, and like I said here, they still have the one that stings, which is where they knocked us out of the playoffs in 2017 on PKs.
Yeah.
On there here, but we swept them last year. We won the only match that we're going to play this year. So all time we now hold the advantage, 5 wins to 7 draws and 2 losses against the Energy for that here. So to me, like I said here, the first half was, and I think I even told you and Royce, while we were chatting, watching the game, it was a typical Energy San Antonio FC match. There was a few chances, not a lot, but the defense stood up and both teams kind of held back, and played defensively. And you had, I think on each side you had probably 2 or 3 players that would go up into the box area, and the defense would snuff it out, and or Matt or CJ Cochran, the goalkeeper of the Energy would get the save. So I thought it was kind of a very interesting half, the first half. Second half, they did sub off PC, brought on Lindley for him. And like I said, I thought they kept with the pressure, they kept attacking it, and then unlike the New Mexico game, where they hit the frame and it bounced out, this one it went in. And I hate to say this, for the Energy fans, I didn't feel like the Energy were in a position to score at all. I think they had one really good chance.
Yeah, Matt Gunn jumped on that one,
but to me, it wasn't, it just, with Marcina, he's got that game plan, set back. And I really like the back three of Taintor, Kamiri, and Ford. I would love to see that going forward, because I think that, gives us the height. It also gives us the athleticism, and also more importantly, the speed. Because I think, with Axel in there, and like Axel for his height, but and he's not slow by any means, but compared to Kamiri and Ford, they've got an extra gear that unfortunately he does not have at this point.
That's and getting Ford back was the key, because you can tell we were missing him from the last game against New Mexico. I think had he played that game, I think the result might have been different. But because I think we're missing that extra speed. I think that's one thing. I think Marcina kind of realized. We're going against a lot of speed in the West because of the Fords. Look at who Colorado has.
Haji Berry,
and Phoenix, and and the Loyal have, and so forth, and then also El Paso. So we kind of had a fight fire with fire, and those are probably like you mentioned about some big moves that we made. I think getting those two were the biggest moves. That made our defense a lot better. I think our defense is a lot better than what we had in the beginning of the year.
So speaking of moves, it's a good transition here. The roster freeze deadline was last Friday, and this deal was finalized, and El Paso had one that was announced. Theirs was announced on Tuesdays. Ours was announced on Wednesday. So much about that deadline. But Leo Torres got shipped out to Real Monarchs. I know preseason, I had high hopes for him to kind of see about taking that next step. Unfortunately, he just couldn't get playing time. Yeah, I think he's got the talent, and we're going to find out. Well, we may not find out. The Real Monarchs are going to find out, and which means RSL is going to find out. So, your thoughts on them loaning out Leo at this point?
I think that this move should have been done a lot sooner. He shined, and you can watching the 2 games he played against Liga M against Pumas and Querétaro, he really did shine in those games. He did well, but we just have so much, I guess, depth there on the midfield.
Yeah, because who are you taking out to put him in? That's the
Yeah,
question.
that's you're not, and unless some way somehow he was killing it in practice, that maybe that Marcino, hey, you know what, I do need to put him in the rotation as far as substitutions. That wasn't the case, so I think this move should have been done a lot sooner, just for his sake. And I guess we're waiting to see. Okay, we're not going to play Monarchs anymore. We can go ahead and pull this off. But I think they could have shipped them out to maybe another. They could have shipped them out to Tulsa. They could have shipped them out to even to the Energy. Because it's still be in the Eastern Conference. So he wasn't going to come back and haunt us. But or he could have gone to even Memphis. So Alonso, he was going to go somewhere that he was going to get the playing time to at least develop. I think they should have done that a lot sooner than now, because really now, who's to say he doesn't? I know he got in just for a few minutes on the last game, but this doesn't guarantee that he's going to get into these last few games with the Monarchs, unless that's just part of that contract that they signed, that hey, he needs a certain amount of minutes to play.
Here's what I think it is I think this could be a sign of a possible move of a transfer of Leo to RSL, Real Salt Lake, because basically this is giving him a month's trial, maybe a little bit longer. Where they're because the Real Monarchs players train with the RSL players, so for the MLS staff, they're going to be able to see, does Leo have the skills to be able to take that step? And it may not be an immediate move to there. But to me, I think if Leo didn't want to go to Europe and he wanted to go to MLS, this is a prime opportunity for him to be able to get eyes at the MLS level, to where maybe this year, because I think according to Transfermarkt, he has one more year after this. So if you're going to transfer him, this winter would be the time to do it. So that's why I think I don't think this was something that SAFC had planned. But I think it was an opportunity where they came up and said, okay, hey, number one, it gives Leo an opportunity to really see where he's at. Because I know Real Monarchs, the results aren't there, but they have talented players. It's just a matter of getting it put in for that here. So I think number one, that's where I think it's more is, I think if Leo tears it up there in practice and shows that he does have the talent and the skills, I think you could see him being transferred up to Real Salt Lake, / Real Monarchs, which is most likely where you play, bounce between the two. Your thoughts on kind of that being the more logical than just him getting minutes?
I believe so. Since also, the Monarchs will be in that new league, right?
Yeah, they're not staying. They'll be going to the MLS reserve. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think San Antonio is going to see. Okay, well, he won't. If we do transfer him, if they do buy him from us, he's not going to hurt us, because he's going to be in that new league, and it's going to help him hopefully get into an MLS spot with Real, or I don't know who's to say Austin isn't looking at him too. But like I said, they don't have a reserve team just yet. But,
well, yeah, I just that's where I think for that here. So just to kind of briefly touch base back on the New Mexico match, before we move on to El Paso. Your thoughts on the New Mexico match? It was a home loss, 1-0 on a goal in the 84th by Weehan. This time he did score it with his feet, so hats off to him. I thought it was a great crowd. I know they announced 5,500. You could quibble a little bit with the referees, but I don't think it was anything blatant. I think San Antonio had every chance to win that game. Probably should have walked away with points. Unfortunately, they hit the post. They hit the woodwork and it bounced out. And New Mexico caught us. Deploying, attacking, forward got caught up on top, and unfortunately the defense didn't rotate enough in the back. And you got to give credit to New Mexico United. They capitalized on their chance, and we didn't.
Yeah, that game, it was just. I think even Roy said it best. It was just nothing was not going our way. The ball hitting the post. I think we should have won that game at least 3-0, 3-1. We all played New Mexico. I was not impressed by the way New Mexico played, but they did, like I said, they did make a tactical change in the second half that did kind of open up some chances for them, and which led to their goal. But for us, we control that game. We're the aggressor, and that game could have really knocked New Mexico out, even further down into from even making the playoffs. And I think we should have gone into that game with that type of attitude. Hey, let's beat these guys. Let's knock them off. Because I think there was a comment made. I think tonight's game from the announcers from the something like, well, we had 1-3 in a row. It's okay. We lose this game and stuff. That's not okay. We needed a win. We win this game. We further distance ourselves, and that's the thing. We haven't really been able to distance ourselves from teams.
Correct.
Minus, like I said, I know there's a distance between us and El Paso, but for us to really solidify that second slot, we haven't really done that. And these are the games that you have to win in order to do that. Because I don't know how many points more do we need to officially clinch the playoff spot, but that was a game we just couldn't. We should have never given up, and hopefully, when we do go to the Isotope Park, we steal those 3 points back, and maybe that game, you just said, we end up knocking them off from the playoffs because, maybe we don't want to see them in the playoffs. We saw how they knocked us off with it. Well, the handball knocked them to the second round, but. The more teams we can knock off in their season, the better. I think that's the attitude we need to have these last few games. Is just be the aggressor.
So, moving on let's do a quick check of where we're at, and then we will move on to El Paso here. So, looking at the league standings at this point, and this is. I know Loudoun's not final yet, but it's going to be final because they're up 5-1. So they're up 5-0 real quick on Loudoun United. But Tampa Bay Rowdies, actually 11 games undefeated at this point. First place not only in the East, but also on schedule for home field overall. Riverhounds is second. However, if you look at it, Miami FC is actually probably in a better position. Same points, but has a game in hand. Charlotte's they don't have 49 points. That's a mistypo. They have 46 points, not 49.
They'll have 49 tonight.
No, they have 46. I already added it.
Okay.
Onto there for that here. Charles, but to me, the Atlantic, the top four is set. You got Tampa's already here. There's that's 46, 15-point gap to the Battery, Athletic, and as you can see, the Red Bulls and Loudoun have already been eliminated from the playoffs. Moving over to the Central, Louisville City, who defeated New Mexico United today 3-1, and Birmingham Legion. Both have clinched playoff spots. Tulsa, who San Antonio will play, I want to say in 2 weeks, will be coming to San Antonio. They're kind of a hit and miss team here. They're in third. We just defeated the Energy. Energy are kind of in deep trouble because Memphis United, or Memphis 901, has games in hand, equal in points right now. They lose the tiebreaker. But you have to figure if Memphis can string together a point, they're going to be jumping into the playoff spot above through there. Atlanta United, Indy 11, just, huge gaff, by the goalie at the draw, right at almost at the death. Walk away with the draw in their last match, and then Sporting Kansas City brings up the rear in the Central. But to me, the top 2 spots are obviously decided. I think Tulsa gets in, but I don't. Unfortunately, with tonight's loss, I think that puts Memphis 901, who we will see next Sunday at Toyota Field, in the driver's seat. Next, El Paso, obviously still a class. Although if you look at their recent form, they haven't lost, but they're drawing a lot more than winning. They gave up a late goal to the Switchbacks, who I thought were the better team on that night. I'm not saying they're a better team overall, but I think for that match last night, they had the better opportunities, but just couldn't convert. They're 1 point ahead of us at 43, but they also have played one more game. New Mexico United's right now has the advantage over RGV, both at 31 points. So it'll be interesting to see. And then, of course, you got the Bold. Bold doesn't have 35 points. They've got 30 points, for that here. Or actually, no, that actually is not correct here. They're actually at 36 points. RGV and New Mexico United's at 36. The Bold's at 35, but the Bold have a game in hand. Real Monarchs, winless 9. Thank you for playing. Rising, they've already clinched the Pacific. They ran away with it, no contest. Loyal are starting to string together a little bit right now. If the season ended, that's where San Antonio would be going to play. Orange County, 6 points back, but they do have a game in hand on the Loyal here, so that second, third spot isn't settled as of yet. And then the 4th spot to play is really a 4-team race between Galaxy, Sac Republic, the Roots, Defiance, Lights. Thank you for playing. So the top 8 in the Eastern right now goes Tampa, Louisville City, Birmingham, Pittsburgh, Miami, Charlotte, Tulsa, and the Energy. And then in the West, Rising, El Paso, Colorado Springs, the Loyal, San Antonio. Actually, we got 43, so would probably, would be either fourth or 5th right now. I didn't update this one here. And then New Mexico United at 37 points, 34 for that here. So why this matters is if you finish second, you guaranteed a home game in the first round. After that, it goes by points. So if we can finish ahead of, obviously we're not catching Phoenix, but if Phoenix gets upset, or if let's say we're the number 3 seed and we beat the 2nd seed, let's say we beat, or let's say we're the 2nd seed and El Paso loses along those lines, there's a possibility that you could still host the more points that you have. So that's why even if you finish 2nd or 3rd, if you can have more points than the other division, that can matter. For instance, if Phoenix loses, right now, El Paso and Colorado Springs would have the tiebreakers over the remaining Pacific teams.
So technically, Phoenix would have to play like New Mexico, which it's not a given game for for Phoenix, because New Mexico has given them problems. So
yeah. So the current structure right now, based on results for tonight, El Paso would host the Galaxy 2. San Diego would host San Antonio. Colorado Springs would host Orange County. They've already faced them twice there in the new Wider Park. Rising and New Mexico United would be interesting. The East is kind of set outside of maybe that 2nd and 3rd slot, in the Atlantic. And the final slot, for the Central, Tampa Bay is going to be the number 1 seed. Louisville, Birmingham, there's still a little bit of giveaway if Louisville choked it down the stretch, but I think Louisville's kind of going to be the clear favorite for the second, for the first in the Central, Birmingham the second, through there. So that Birmingham-Miami or Birmingham-Pittsburgh match would be outstanding. Tulsa, like I said here, it'll be interesting to kind of see how they do, how they end the season. I know they play San Antonio, so hopefully not very well. And then Charlotte, if you really look at the talent that they have, I don't know if I would be wanting to face Charlotte as the number 4 seed. Unlike, for instance, unlike the Galaxy or, New Mexico United where the results aren't there. Mm-hmm. Charlotte's been getting results. So whoever finishes first in the Central, they don't have the give me match. Like Tampa Bay, I think they would handle Phoenix, or not Phoenix. They would handle OKC. I think they would handle Memphis, whoever finishes in that final spot there. But Charlotte and Louisville City, that would be a very interesting match to go. For the Supporters Shield, right now, did I check that up again?
Yeah, I think the Rowdies had 1 game pending, I think.
Yeah, 1 second here. Hold on. Yeah, 58. What's Rising? Yeah, no. So Rising does have the advantage right now. Okay. So I thought that Tampa Bay had it, but no, it's actually Rising. Although they have the game advantage on there and 11 games undefeated, I think that's why through there. But to me, it's the number 1 seed for the Supporters Shield is going to come down to those 2 teams just because of the performances they're on. And right now, the Rowdies, just because they play in a division with Loudoun and the Red Bulls, you got to favor them. Louisville, El Paso, and Birmingham Legion still kind of in the discussion. And then in the Wooden Spoon, to me, I want to almost say it's Loudoun's to lose. They've got 12 points. Real Monarchs for as bad as they have 17, Lights at 18, and Sporting Kansas City at 19. So the Baby Bulls have played their way off of it here. So, but as you can see, our next match is against El Paso. For that here at El Paso, which is always tough. They always tend to be a midweek game for some reason. So you and I made the trip 2 years ago, right? I guess it was because we didn't go last year because they were in a different division. Tough place to play. They've won 21 straight, or they're winless early. They've got points in 21 matches there. They haven't lost in 21 matches. So thoughts on going to El Paso?
The streak ends on Wednesday night. I have a feeling that we're where we're at right now. This is the game. If you're gonna make a statement and you're gonna make a move to really kind of kick it in gear into playoff mode, this is the game to do it. And if you can go out there and beat El Paso, you're sending a message to the Western Conference that we're a team to be reckoned with. Regardless if you play us at home or we go to your place, you're going to have to deal with us. And it's not going to be an easy cakewalk. So if I'm Marcina, really kind of get up the guys, come up with a game plan that kind of neutralizes the use of their field. And that's been an advantage for New Mexico because of that little tight. He's got to come up with something and say, what can I do to neutralize New Mexico's play on their own pitch? Because they're not very good as far as playing on, kind of a little wide side. I know they beat us in our plays, but we did, go toe-to-toe with them, and we just didn't finish our chances like they did. So if there were, like I said, if Marcina can find a game plan to really make them compact that they can't really do anything, and we can take advantage of them on counterattacks. That'll help. Hopefully get us these 3 points. But I think also another thing maybe El Paso is, what type of mind frame do they have, going in from this Colorado game? Because I know going up to Colorado Springs, I'm sure it's taking a toll on them playing in that altitude.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we kind of have a little advantage because, like I said, Oklahoma City doesn't have the same.
And I think, I know turf is different,
yeah,
but they played on a narrow pitch, probably even more narrow than, than what's in El Paso now. I think the talent level of El Paso is night and day compared to Oklahoma City. I don't think that there's any dispute on that. So, because to me, really, I think for San Antonio FC, the key is to try to get into that second slot. And the schedules are actually kind of interesting. For the Switchbacks, they get 2 matches against Real Monarchs, but both of those are on the road. And as we've seen, Real Monarchs do play a little bit better at home.
Mm-hmm.
Their home match that they have, because they play 4, so they play 4 on the road and 1 at home, for their final 5, and ours is actually the reverse. So they get 2 of the trips are Monarchs away. You figure they're probably going to get 4 to 6 points, but their home games against RGV, which RGV is also fighting for their playoffs live as well. But then next Wednesday, the 13th, so 10 days from now, they travel to El Paso. And then the very last game, day before Halloween, the 30th, they play, San Antonio. And they play San Antonio. Meanwhile, looking at San Antonio's schedule, their toughest match, in my opinion, is this week at El Paso. Come home, you get Memphis 901. The following weekend, you get Tulsa. Tulsa is hit and miss. I think the talent, especially with the defense, I think that they can get by Memphis along those lines. So if they can get those 2 wins, they do travel on a Wednesday, the 20th, to New Mexico United. I think just being objective, the history of San Antonio, New Mexico, that's typically a loss. But then their last 2 are back at home. One against the Bulls, which they may be out of it by that point here because the coach, they did lose their last match and they've had a week off, so they're going to have a bunch of games. And then to me, that second slot, I can see it coming down to that October 30th match against Colorado Springs. But to me, if you could get a point, I know you mentioned that hey, to end the streak, but to me, even if you could walk away with points, a draw in El Paso and a draw against New Mexico United, I think that sets us up pretty well. I think even if you lose those 2 games, and not that I hope that they lose, but even if you lose those 2 games, I think the schedule for San Antonio FC, because it's at home where they typically play better. They are getting healthy. Sam Gleedle's got to be getting close to coming back here. Royce has said that Patino's the boots off, so maybe we see him maybe in one of the next 2 matches or a match or so before the end of the season to kind of build get some fitness, because I do think he brings a different element than what Nathan does and Dylan does, up top. But your thoughts on kind of how the stretch, because we're at the stretch run now. How the end of season sets up for them.
I mean, it's for us to win, to make a move, or it's for us to bow out, but for me, I think the mindset going into these final games, you want to treat these games like playoff games, kind of like a knockout stage. We don't, either we win or we lose. We need to win these games, I think the more wins we can get, the better momentum we have going into the playoffs. You don't want to go in limping into a playoff and then your season's pretty much done. If you can go in a little win streak, that makes the other teams a lot nervous about playing you. And I think that's why I think this game, like I said, coming up Wednesday against El Paso, I think if we can get this game, it's a statement game because we're gonna tell the other teams we can come in here and we can beat you guys, no matter how big of the if higher seed you are. And like I said, I still think we're good enough to beat Phoenix. I think if we play what we need to do if we have in the past, like I said, marking and so forth. I think we got the players to. So, like I said, going into or any other Western Conference team, but going into this game, like I said, I think we need to win this one. We definitely need to take care of business with Memphis. You know, they're not gonna, for them, they're not coming in, just as another game because they're also in a tight race for a playoff spot. So they're gonna be coming with gunslinging. So it's going to be another playoff game. And then same thing with Tulsa. That's a playoff game. Basically, all our games are playoff games, if you look at it, because all our opponents are trying to get into the playoffs. And
That's true.
So SAFC's got to be already okay. This is our round or not our round robin, but our knockout stage. Let's do this. Now we come out with a couple. Say we tied in El Paso, tied at New Mexico. Hey, that's fine. But as long as we get it the 3 points at home, that's all it's going to help us. But building a little win streak, kind of like what Tampa has. I don't think anybody wants to play Tampa Bay.
No.
So if we can do something similar to that, I think we'll make the other teams nervous going into the playoff round, and then let's just say we don't run the table and do some damage in the playoffs.
And I will say this about El Paso, and we're crowning them as the champs, but if San Antonio is able to get that win, that'll put them at 46 points. Always 46 points. El Paso would be at 51. That's what difference 5.
That's 2 games.
And what El Paso is going to be doing that stretch that San Antonio did last month. They play us on the 6th. They travel to Tulsa. They come home and play Colorado Springs. They travel out to LA on the 17th. They come home and play the Bold, which is never easy because they're so defensive. They, on a Wednesday, the following Sunday they play the Energy, and then they travel down to El Paso. So they've got a lot of games that are going to be compacted. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches. While we have 5. So that's going to be the or we've got 6 matches counting them. They've got 7, we've got 6 along those lines here. So I think that's going to be the interesting aspect here is if San Antonio can get the win. And like I said, I know that's a big task, but I think with San Antonio getting healthy, it's probably the healthiest that we've been, facing them, for that here. So I'm looking forward to seeing if El Paso can kind of close that gap and put some pressure on them this week.
Yeah, here's another thing. Really one thing about this final stretch is what teams can stay healthy.
Yes,
and I know I think we're close to becoming 100% back with our players. Like I said, some of these top teams have been hit by that injury bug, and who's to say, not saying anything bad luck on them or which, wasn't saying like El Paso gets a key player that gets hurt.
Well, El Paso's starting to feel a little bit of pressure. Yuma's been out the last few games. And I want to play the best team of El Paso, but if Yuma if we don't see Yuma on Wednesday, I won't cry.
Won't cry either.
Fans. I'll be like, because he's as much as give him shit, he's a good player. If he was on San Antonio FC, we'd love him, but he's on El Paso, and he's evil. Along those lines, but. It's kind of funny how this season's kind of we always say, hey, hold off, and then the next thing you know, hey, the end of year's here. So final thoughts on El Paso, and then we'll move on to
I think the big thing is this with them, if we can win this game, we got to make a move to try to get that top spot. I think we can probably possibly catch up to them, because it would be, I think losing to us on Wednesday would be very devastating to them, because I think right now they're on a big high horse, but if we can hit them right back in the kind of a good punch in the mouth with a win, it sends a statement to them to say, hey, look, we're not going away, and if we see you in the playoffs, we can knock you off here at home. We're like I said, we're at full strength now. And that's, I think, like I said, this game, I think we have a good chance. I think that's the reason why maybe PC kind of came out at the half. I think saving him and some of the other players. This is like I said, I think I would treat this as a Western Conference championship game or a division championship game, because if you can win this, it's just momentum going into the other games. You want to set the tone going to the other games, and let the other teams know, hey, we're for real, and when you're coming in here, you're not going to win.
So, final subject, and this will be on our final thoughts here. Another 3-game set of CONCACAF qualifying on Thursday. U.S. hosts Jamaica. I want to say it's in Austin, right?
Yeah, it's in Austin.
In Austin. Mexico plays Canada. I believe they host as well for that here. Then on the 10th, Sunday, they go on the road to Panama. And Mexico is at home against Honduras. And then next Wednesday, the United States hosts Costa Rica. And Mexico goes on the road to El Salvador. So your thoughts on this next cycle of international play here in the CONCACAF?
For Mexico, I think they need to be concerned with Canada. This is not the Canada of old. Like I said, they're gonna come bring it. They're gonna try to come get the 3 points. Or, I know they want to get the 1 point, at least a point, but I know they're gonna come with the 3. Go over their guns blazing, try to get the 3 points. But luckily, Mexico's got some of their big guns back. They got Chucky Lozano back. They got Jimenez back, and I think that was the big struggle for the 3 games that they played before. But to come out 7 points without those 2 key players, and now that you're going to bring them back, it's a great thing. So I think I see Mexico maybe come out with 7 points out of this. I think they'll take care of business with Honduras. I think they'll take care of business with El Salvador. I think Canada can go either a tie. I think a win or a tie. It can go either or. So,
but that's in Mexico, though, right? They're hosting. So, I think Mexico traveling to Canada is the bigger issue. I still don't think Canada's got the horses to beat Mexico in Mexico.
But you gotta look at the game that Canada played against the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you they're not afraid of going into yours.
Yeah, that's true.
In the woods. So I think Tata's I think he sees that, and he's not going to take this. He's not going to take Canada for granted. He's going to come up with a game plan to try to neutralize Davies. I think the team really revolves around him. If you neutralize him, Canada won't do anything. So in order for Mexico to win this game, they have to eliminate Davies as far as him touching the ball. And I think I said Mexico can come out with the 3 points. Like I said, you can go either 3 points or you can be with a tie. But I do see Mexico getting either anywhere between 7 to 9 points.
And I think for the United States, they need to get 7 to 9 points as well. They've got to beat Jamaica. They've got to beat Costa Rica. Both of those have to be wins. Panama, I think they're fourth right now. 1 win, 2 draws. For that so far here.
That's at Panama, right?
That's at Panama.
And Mexico had some trouble down there. They were able to get the tie. It's that Panama playing in Panama is a very tough place, especially with that humidity.
And there is, the U.S. is down a couple of stars, so no Pulisic and no Reyna, I believe, for that here. So, but I do believe, and I think Jamaica will be a little bit better because they're going to be able to get some of the players from Europe where they couldn't get them last time. Costa Rica, I think it's a down Costa Rica team this year, or this qualifying. So, but the U.S. has to get the 3 points at home. And like I said, if they can walk away at the draw, at least at Panama, I think that sets them up, very well. Obviously, Mexico is, still first place with 7 points. Canada second with 5. U.S. third at 5. Panama with 5 at fourth. And then Costa Rica, Honduras, El Salvador 2 points, and Jamaica with the 1 draw is bringing up the bottom, of the qualifying. But to me, if for Mexico and the United States, this is the round that you can kind of, stabilize things, put your mark down, and, hopefully coast comfortably the rest of the qualifications. There's still quite a bit to play for, but if you can get out to that good start where you're getting 12 points or, in Mexico's case, 14, minimum 14 points after 6 matches, that's got to lay that foundation down very well.
Yeah, these are the games you need to distance yourself from the rest of the pack. And I know with the U.S. side, if they don't get those more than the 6 or 7 points, do you hit the panic button with Bullhalter as far as him as a coach? I know
that depends how they lose. It depends how they lose.
The rumblings are. I know, like I said, I hear the rumblings with Tata, but I don't think he's going anywhere. He's going to finish the qualification. But as far as Bullhalter, I kind of question some of his tactics a little bit. And if things don't go well on this, do you replace him, get somebody else in, or do you stick with him to for the next group of games?
That'll be a question for Royce after this round. Because the dude hasn't lost yet, right? He hasn't lost in, a year?
Yeah, but I just... like I said, I know you. It's sometimes you do need to be lucky to win games and stuff like that. But there's just some games I've seen that the amount of talent that team has, and the way the system he kind of uses. I just don't. I know Royce.
That's a separate question, though. Of is he getting the most out? But
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
If he has a poor round this round here. Is he gone? And I'm not the biggest Berhalter fan, but he's got results.
Mm-hmm.
And in this business, that's the reason why. I think the seat's warm for Mexico's coach. You'd say.
I think
because he's lost to the United States twice this summer.
Yeah, but he also is kind of looking at it as like. It's just a cycle because I know the situation is that they were missing some players as far as that are playing now. They were a part of an Olympic team, and normally they would have been playing on in the Gold Cup. So I think they kind of realized, well, he didn't have Cordova and a couple other Ochoa didn't play in the Gold Cup and. A couple other like Linus and so forth. So I think they kind of gave him a little pass on it, but still, yeah, he still, if he doesn't get, like I said, I think if he loses to Canada, yeah, he's going to be in the hot seat. Now, who do you bring in? I have no clue who you can really look at unless The only person I do see maybe getting him in would be the Tuca Ferretti, because he's not really killing it at Juarez right now. And I think for him, like, you know what? Let me jump ship now from Juarez and go with the Mexican national team, because he did do well when he was coaching the national team as a kind of like a substitute coach for a couple games. So I think he's the only one I think would be looked at as far as a replacement. Another one could be Solari. Club America. He's turned like I said, he's turned Club America. The way they're playing like a European team, and if they can win I'm gonna say is this: if they can win the Champions League, I think they can compete with some of the whoever's. I think they can compete against some of the European teams or the Copa Libertadores teams in the, kind of what Tigres did the last year in that tournament. So he's a dark horse too, as far as being a coach for a national team as well.
So, any final thoughts? I saw Real Madrid lose. Barcelona's unfortunately Barcelona right now, and that's not a good thing.
Bayern lost, PSG lost. So if anyone got any bets, I'm sure they won a lot of money.
So, but any final thoughts? Like I said here, it's been a fun show. Like I said here, I was kind of worried about an instant reaction show, just because if they would have lost, it would have been an entirely different feel of the show. For that,
but it is a tough. Like I say, OKC is a tough place to play. It's like a rivalry game. It's Texas Oklahoma. Well, that's what it. Well, that's next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's Texas Oklahoma game. So it's a rivalry.
Although this year had a little bit different luster.
Yeah.
Like if the game would have been Saturday, I would have went. I would have drove up and drove back. But reason why we didn't have a show this last week is because I started a new job. Rafa's unfortunately on the road with his job the last couple of weeks here, and Royce, when Royce is coach of the next star player for San Antonio FC. So he's been putting him to the woodwork.
Central Catholic needs to take a look at him.
So, but final thoughts for you, Rafa, before we get out of here.
Like I said, I look forward for Wednesday. I know I'll be out of time. Hopefully I get to catch. But it is. What time is the game on? Is it a 8 o'clock start time?
Against El Paso.
I know we're an hour back, so I think
Yeah, I want to say it's at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Here, I'll tell you here. Schedule. The Southwest Park, 8 o'clock. Yes. So that's 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain Time.
Okay, so 8 o'clock. So hopefully I'll get the catch kind of like towards the mid and tail end, the second half, because I'll be in the Valley this week doing college fairs. So I'll be back on Friday and then back on the road again the next 2 weeks. But like I said, I'll catch that game on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that game. I hope, like I said, I want us to get the 3 points, and just for the guys, be safe on the road. And also, my final thought is, just like I said, continue on. Hopefully, we can keep on getting this COVID down. And if you haven't had a chance to get vaccinated, take advantage of it, especially with the city giving those $100 gift cards from HEB. So you haven't taken a shot.
Go get it.
Go get it. Get some free. There's $100 worth of groceries.
Although $100 doesn't buy you much at HEB right now. I hate to say that.
For the gas. It's for the gas.
But my final thought is, like I said here, kind of twofold here. San Antonio, come out, support us. I know Sunday night's not the easiest nights to get out at 7:30. But rest of the games are going to be Saturdays here at Toyota Field outside of this one here. Let's support the team, finish strong. Season tickets renewals are on for next year already, and like I said here, I believe if you've got the email, if you renew by the end of the month, They give you, I think, a Spurs game, right? I think I saw as far as on here. So if you didn't get the email, or if that's something that interests you, reach out to your ticket guy or lady for that here. Roadrunners are 5-0. So if SAFC isn't playing and you have the opportunity to go support the Roadrunners. Like I said here, they're kicking ass, in American football. For that here, I think their next game is homecoming against Rice. And I think between now and I want to say midweek, they're offering 50% off of tickets. So if you wanted to go to it, now I do think that there is a competing SAFC match that day, so that's why I may not be able to take advantage of it. But if you're listening to this, Spurs and Salsa, if you can't make it out to Toyota Field, go out and support the runners. But obviously, if you can make it out to Toyota Field, last match we had about 5,500. Would love us to see us get back to 6,000, 6,500 and build on from there. But want to thank everybody for tuning in. Chris Cox, awesome to see you. Hope you're doing well. Matt, thanks for posting in. Max over in Germany. Hope you have when you get up in the morning, you're able to watch the game. Hope we'll put a smile on your face and thank you for your service. Be safe out there here, and pretty soon it'll be Halloween, and which means it's playoff time. So want to thank everybody for tuning in. What's life without goals? We're out.